resonated with me that we serve an awesome God. And how can we just exist with the risen Savior that lives?
Amen. Amen. Well said. Anybody else? What has become clear from Sunday or from since last time we met? Tam.
So, on last Wednesday, when Pastor was teaching about all that stuff, he was saying, I want to be whole. I want me to be whole. And he was talking about capacity. And I can't recall the question he posed, but in that he was talking about capacity, and I think maybe talking about like are we as big as whatever, and I was having a hard time dealing with capacity. And then since last Wednesday, even up to this morning, God has just been showing me how much capacity I have in me. And he first just shared with me that it's no different than when a mother has her first child, and then you have the second child, and when you just have that first child, you don't think you can love beyond that first child, and then you have another one. So each time your capacity grows. And so he's been telling me that same capacity resides within you. So you can be, as big as whatever it is, because you do have the capacity.
Amen.
Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense. I'm going to caveat it. So, you say your capacity grows, and you find out that you have more capacity to love. Do it grow, or is it already there?
It's already there, but it's revealed to you in
Absolutely.
action.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
So what if we did an experiment? This is hard, by the way. But we believe we got the capacity to do anything that comes at us. We have the capacity to be as big as we want to be, but on the polarity side of that, we also have the capacity to be as small as we think we ought to. So, man, think of it as hard, so it is. That works either way. That works either way. So what if going into this new year of accelerated vision and going into a time we're trying to working hard to see God's face and treating each other's needs as holy, treating those that we call to needs as holy, what if we begin to believe that we got everything within us that we need to be great? Wow. That we need to be great. And that what we got within us, as we unveil it, then our resources start to show up. I think a lot of times we get, I know I have in the past, that we can get anxious trying to figure out the resources. And God always tell me, there's no need for the resource if you haven't unveiled within you. Wait to get the resource first, then you're going to unveil. And God is saying, unveil, and the resources are already there. He said, I done dropped goodness. I already dropped goodness wherever you need to go.
Yes, sir.
And if you follow me, which follow me I put inside of you, follow the righteousness I put inside of you, that his goodness already been dropped. Boy, you just need to keep going. And so what if he wasn't lying when he said that? What if? I'm jumping ahead of the lesson, but like I said, we're having a family discussion tonight, so we're going to talk back. And if we don't talk back, I'm going to get it out of you some kind of way. But as believers, I always ask this question, I never take for granted. Who in here is saved? Raise your hand. Yeah, Barry, I know you're saved. We go back, y'all. That's my dude right there. Okay. After salvation, there's no more excuse. We can't blame. I don't trust people. I don't trust this situation. I feel funny about this. All of that boils down to, I don't trust God. I don't trust God. If people don't like to say that out loud, I've been in church as long, I've been saved for 60 years. I got this title, I've done that. At the end of the day, anytime we start giving those things that's contrary to what God has said, we don't trust God. And it's not until we gain an awareness of, God, I don't trust you in this area. I believe in you, but help my unbelief in this particular area. I believe you exist. I believe that Christ died. I believe he raised him from the dead. I believe my salvation is secure. But God, in this particular area of my life, I don't believe you. It's some unbelief in it. And it's being willing to admit that when healing and resources show up. We're going to get to that later on in the lesson. Being able to admit the areas that are painful to think about, or the potential of pain, the potential of rejection, the potential of fear, the potential of loss, the potential of loneliness, the potential of failure. In those areas, we don't trust God in. So then we manufacture and they turn into things like sitting down, standing still, manipulation, coercion, strong arm, and all these other things that we're going to talk about tonight. But it boils down to, it ain't we got a problem with people. We got a problem with God. Jesus would always say, they don't got a problem with you, they got a problem with me. It always boils down to our trust in God. We believe that he's going to say he'll do what he said he'll do.
Yes.
If we work those principles and do what he said, that it's a land for you on the other side. Yes, there may be some giants there. Yeah, it may have to be in the wilderness. We can get out this wilderness that we keep putting ourselves
Come on now.
in.
Yes, sir.
Or stop playing the blame game to our pastors, leaders, ministers, and everything else as to why we're deciding to stay in the wilderness. When God said you can deal with, pick your pain. You can deal with the pain of what you think is going to happen, what you think is going to fail, what you think you're going to lose, or the
Yes,
power
sir.
that you think you got is going away. Or you can go ahead and go through the pain and let God do surgery.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing about surgery, like the Bible says, he who raised Christ from the dead, how much more so can he heal our mortal body? Yeah, the word cuts like crazy. It cuts. It cuts through bone, it cuts through marrow, but it's also in the hand of the healer. Also in the hands of the manufacturer. So he know how to fix it and fix it quick. So you're going to experience pain either way. Some reason we think standing still that we're going to avoid it. And that's our 2 million-year-old brain getting in our survival instinct, in that fight or flight, pain avoidance. And so we'll do whatever we can, manipulate, get over, stand still, go into hiding, whatever we do to avoid a potential pain when we already and we sitting in it. And we suppress, and it starts to spill off. Or we can just trust God in his word, like, God, you said, if I X, Y, Z, this is what's going to happen. Yeah, I'm going to have to go through some fire this time. And the fire isn't so much the experience. The fire or the trauma is having to reconnect to your true self and disconnect from the attachments you got along the way.
Yeah.
That's the true fire.
Yeah.
That's the true trembling. That's the true symbol of what that is. That's the lion's den, is facing yourself. Facing the traumas that's within yourself. Facing the false stories, the lies we've been telling ourselves for years. Whether it's towards other people, whether they did do it. Whether it truly existed, facing those areas and having the power to let power go in those areas. Having the power to let control go in those areas. That's the true fire that we got to do. And we're willing to confront ourselves,
Come on.
regardless of the outcome, knowing that the outcome that God said is for my good. That's when we start to get real power. That's when people like, old people say you feel your help coming on. And it starts to happen. Bill?
I know my wife, she gonna say this,
He didn't mean that shit.
so I'm gonna talk to her. But, she, she moving in a lot of stuff. And it's just going along with, my capacity. And, she, it's like just watching her, and then, us talking all the time, and just having, try to encourage her to keep going, because like I said, it's not so much her that she can't do what it is that she wants to do or whatever. It's just that I'm scared or I'm not trusting God. But like I said, I know she's not gonna put it out there like that. But I can see her moving. It encouraged me as a husband, but just seeing her move in some areas and some doors opening for her. It's like
The Lord.
it's amazing. And we'll talk about it. It's like connections she making to make things happen. It's like
Yes, sir.
she's coming out of her shell and learning to talk more. And just seeing her move and doing this, it's impressive. But I think when Dr. Twins here, they talk about big. Why can't we be and do big stuff? I remember being where I was. You go get them.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I'm trying to be big in this thing.
Yes,
It's
sir.
like the whole mentality of serving the Lord. He don't mind you, having big and big and big. Just don't let it have you. But just don't be afraid to go get it. Don't be afraid to go get it
Amen.
when you're dirt.
Amen. And the belief God try to get us to is that we don't got to try to be big. We already big.
Right.
And if we treat things, that's what, now faith is what? Y'all finish that scripture. Now faith is what? Hold on. We got 5 Bible versions. I heard King James, I heard NA, I heard a Message. Get one person. Hey, some of you in heaven gonna sound like, I heard about 5 versions. Let me get one person. You say that again? Okay. She gave me the key word.
Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen.
Substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So why can't we have the faith to believe that we was created good? We was created good. If the God of the universe, of creation, can live in us, decides to live in us out of all other creation, how big do we have? How big is our actual capacity? If we believe God is limitless, we believe God there's no limit to how big His power is and how far He is. So it's about changing our perspective. So let's get into this lesson again. Family discussion. Family discussion, family thing, I try not to hold you long. So repeat after me real quick. I try to do this every time. Most of the time I try to teach certain classes when we have discussion. Say, I know who I am.
I know who I am.
I choose who I'm going to be.
I choose who I'm going to be.
And I give myself
And I give myself
to a purpose higher than me.
to a purpose higher than me.
And I do that because repetition helps us get it.
I do that because repetition.
You gotta say that boy out. See, he on it. He on it. I do. He on it. Y'all leave Alan on. I do. I do. Seriously. Repetition helps us get it, and our faith comes by what? Hearing. So we gotta constantly repeat the same principles over and over till we get it. And the more we get it, the more it becomes what we do. The more we get it, the more it becomes what we do. And that's the ingredients to achieving power, is those three things. Knowing who you are, choosing the story you want to believe, and then connecting yourself to a higher purpose, and giving yourself to a higher purpose. Sometimes we can stop at the first part. We can meditate out, we can get in a good state, but if we still don't choose a better story, or choose a story that we let come into our ear, we'll stay stuck. And we can even change the story, but if we don't connect to a higher purpose, we'll stay stuck. So, power. Power, power, power. And for
Actually, I was going to ask you to repeat what we were saying when I walked in about I know who I am.
I know who I am. I choose who I'm going to be, and I give myself to a purpose that's higher than me. You're welcome. So, Pastor came from two texts. We're going to focus on all of them, but the main text was John 17, 20 through 21. One of the last things Christ asked before he went to the cross. He didn't ask him, he didn't say, God, make him Superman. He didn't say, God, give them words of wisdom. He said, God, in short, make them one. God, make them one. So, question, who here want power? Let me see a show of hands. Who here want power? Look at each other. Okay, keep your hands up. Keep your hands up. Who hands up? Okay. Everybody who aren't up, raise it. Go ahead and raise it. Stop fighting. The fact that you're fighting shows you want it, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why. Everything that man does and doesn't do, or have done, or will do, is for a quest for power. And because we've seen power misused so many times, when you think of power, you think of most of the time people misuse it. Or you're thinking, if I get it, I may misuse it, or I have misused it. Power is basically the ability to choose. The ability to choose our outcome. Now here's the thing with power, for people who didn't raise their hand. When you give away your power, or you choose to let situations control your outcome, you still use it. Even if you're giving it away. Even if you feel powerless. You say, I don't want no power. You just exercise it. We exercise power in staying small and playing small and deciding how we want our life to be. You're still using power. And the enemy knows that more than we do. Jesus said, nobody takes my life, I give it. So we exercise power even when we choose not to do anything. We still using our power. What is it? Well, I didn't space it. We're going to start with the takeaway and work our way back. So the power you long for is not to rule over another's life. The power you crave is to have a sense of control over the outcomes of your own life. Outcomes are determined by principles. The principle of unity assures us of having collective power first, then individual. Mark those who cause division. So what is power? Choice. Okay. We always raise our hand that we either we have it or don't. So I'm gonna take consideration that we at least know what we think it is. For those, not picking on anybody, for those who didn't raise their hand, they didn't want it. Why? Yes, ma'am. Miss Sampson. Oh, I thought you had your hand up. Oh no, you put your glasses up. Why? And it's okay. There's no necessarily no wrong answer. It's your personal opinion.
Are you waiting on me to answer?
No.
Well, I'm gonna say this, you said who want power. I didn't raise my hand because I have power. So that's why I didn't raise my hand, because you asked the question that I already asked. Because I know who I belong to, so I operate in my power.
Yes, ma'am. Alan.
When I think about why people don't want power, I think about being at work. A lot of people don't want the positions of power because of responsibility, fear, don't want the responsibility.
Right. But do we already have responsibility on that?
Yes. They don't believe they can handle it.
Oh, we already have. The funny thing, the biggest trick the enemy does is what? Y'all know this saying.
Trick you to believe that you don't have something that you already do.
Tricking people into believing that he don't exist. Tricking us into believing we don't have something we already do. Biggest trick he did with Adam and Eve, he tried it with Christ, and he do it with us every single day. He do it with us every single day. He do it through manipulation, and he get us to be manipulators the same as that way. He manipulated Eve into thinking she didn't have it, and then Eve in turn, she didn't manipulate Adam. He just decided to give his power up and laid it down. And we find ourselves in one position or the other. Either we on the manipulating end, or we on the end and we just giving our power away.
Amen.
And taking in and receiving anything or accepting any outcome to our life as if it's our lot in life. Still exercising power either way it goes. We still choosing, we still exercising power either way it goes. Questions, comments? Y'all quiet tonight, but you want to talk. Minister Cynthia?
She said, I know, she said that she didn't raise her hand because she knows she has power. I know I have power,
Right.
but I want this power right here. I want to be able to know how to do it this way.
Yes, ma'am.
Have the outcome, like totally have the outcome,
Absolutely.
that Christ has for me. So when I think, it's not that we raise our hands because we didn't think we have power. So I have power. My life has proven me that I have power. But I want power that way, and I want the outcome God's way.
Amen.
Only. Not nothing in my mind, not nothing in, you know what I'm saying? I know I have to do the work, but I want God to be glorified in every single thing.
Amen. Our life is the sum total of our what? Choices. So that means we exercise some power to get where we is. So we all got it. And we all use it daily. That's the one thing that the enemy can't take from us. We have to give it away. And most of the time we give it away daily. Say choose daily life or death. That's our power. That we got the ability. The animal kingdom don't got it, they run off instincts. Sometimes a dog don't know why he chasing the cat. He don't know why he chasing the car. He just do. Can't help it. He can't help it. He can't help it. We the only thing God created that has free will and a choice to exercise power just as he do. And we give it away daily. We give it away daily. And powers that be, evil powers that be, understand it. So they create constructs.
Yes.
They create constructs,
Yeah.
knowing that the whole goal is, let me influence how you choose.
That's right.
People in our circles create constructs, let me influence how you choose to give away your power, to make myself feel more powerful. Yes, ma'am.
It's a question of Minister Cynthia. Do you mind if I ask you this question? Just for clarity, when you say you know that you have power, but you want this kind of power, is it not one and the same? Okay, can you explain that to me?
Because you can use power in the negative sense to get things you want on your own way. just because I have a way of persuasiveness about myself. So I just wanna make sure that I'm aligned the way God wants me.
Okay, okay,
Get into it.
thank you.
So power, the capacity or ability to direct or influence the behavior of yourself or others over the course of an event. Pastor said it in short Sunday, to be able to control the outcomes of your life. When we don't use power the right way, as Sunday was alluding to, or when it's perverted, we also can try to direct the outcomes of other people's lives to help make ourselves
That's
better.
right, yes, sir.
That's the misuse of power.
Yes.
We see that going on right now in Washington. We
Yes.
see that going on with a lot of political leaders, but we see it going on in church, we see it going on at our home, we see it going on at our job. The misuse of a false sense of power
Authority.
to misuse or to try to control the outcomes of others' life to fit areas where you think you need help in, or areas to meet your needs not in a healthy way. And we can talk about that a little later. This want of power is birthed out of dominion and is supposed to awaken a desire to have greater control over the outcomes of our life. He wants to give us the desires of our heart. Desire is a demand, it's a must-have. It becomes a must-have, that's when God gets involved, that's when it looks like faith. I'm gonna stop there. Who in here has ever given that power away? How? And why? We're gonna hear for real tonight. I saw a lot of hands go. Milk, and then Minister April. Somebody else had their hand up too. Yes, sir.
I just kept, I guess for me, thinking about, in the garden, and, you know, the meaning had already been given. And when he came, you know, we talked about, you know, Satan, you know, with fear, false evidence of fear, and we believe the lie, or choose to believe the lie, so we give up the power. But even in our own lives, my life, it's like, I know certain things that I should do, because I've been taught this, but then I choose to do what's comfortable, or choosing to my flesh. You know, basically, like, I just kept just going back to the garden, when he came and told them some things that was just awesome, you know what I'm saying? How he confused them, see, they weren't confused, but just the way he put it to them, and they chose, you know, Eve and then, of course, Adam. But we do that daily. You know, we choose to believe the narratives he painted, or we have painted for ourselves, and we know that they're not real, we know they're not true, but I still choose, and I miss out on things that God has.
Eve was deceived, Adam chose. Big difference. Eve was deceived, Adam chose. He exercised his power, didn't even know he was doing it.
Right.
Adam chose. Why do we do it? It behooves us not to work on our self-awareness and not to learn our emotional triggers, not to learn all the things that goes against the word of God for our life. And that's the hard part.
Yes.
Is doing that and dealing with those triggers, dealing with those traumas, dealing with those pains, instead of trying to meet our needs in unhealthy ways. And here's the thing about it. We all got the same needs. And we talked about it before. We're going to keep talking about it because repetition helps us get it. And God said that by now, we should start to understand the wiles or the allure of the enemy. He knows all the needs we got. We got a real God-given need for significance. We got a God-given need for certainty, uncertainty. We got a God-given need for love. We got a God-given need for connection. And we got a God-given need for growth and contribution. When we ain't contributing, and when we're not personally growing, all them other needs we'll try to meet in an unhealthy way.
Amen. Yes, sir.
So we'll try to meet our need for significance in an unhealthy way by manipulation, coercion.
Yeah.
We'll try to meet our needs for certainty. We'll meet our needs for certainty by being in bad relationships, just knowing the person won't be there. Or they provide this for certain, or doing this for certain, just to meet that unhealthy need, not knowing that we can contribute to ourselves and grow within ourselves to meet our own. We'll try to meet our love for love in the wrong way. And when we get so sick of love, we just settle for connection. We'll say scrap that whole need and just settle for connection in a heartbeat. Not knowing that growth and contribution, self-awareness through growth and contribution meets all the rest of it in a healthy way. And that's choosing to exercise power in a healthy way. Mr. Evans?
I think the question was about why don't we exercise power,
Yes,
something like
ma'am.
that. For me, when I exercise or when I don't exercise power, it's because my power is attached to a process that I don't want to go through. Going back to picking your pain. And sometimes I feel like I feel like I've been processed so much that I'm not ready to be processed again. So I will choose to dim my light. I will choose to play small. When God has called me to do bigger and greater things, I will choose not to do it because I know that there's a process attached to it, and I know that me going through that process, some things are going to have to change, and I've become comfortable with where I am. Or because I know that the attacks may become greater in my life, mentally, I just feel like I'm not in a place where I can even handle it. So I choose to play small, or I choose to keep things on status quo, so I don't, so I don't have ripple effects in the water around me. So those are some of the reasons why I choose not to exercise my power.
Okay. This is a question, I'm saying it in response to April, but it's for everybody. Again, the enemy only got 3 tricks. He's majorly crafty in those 3 tricks. He's mastered them for millions of years. He knows ways we can't do what we need the person of the Holy Spirit. But he only got 3 tricks. We don't like going through the thought or the fear of going through a new process. But how hard is it to maintain the process of playing small? How hard is that process? How debilitating is the process of staying in that place? How energy draining is that place? We tell ourselves we're comfortable. We're not. And over time, we'll settle. But truth be told, it's still there. How comfortable is that? How hard is that process? Very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. So, what if we made the resolve? If I'm gonna be uncomfortable, dog, I'm gonna get some good out of this. I'm gonna put this comfortability on the block. I'm gonna get some money. I'm gonna get something out of it. I'm gonna get some work out of it. It's gonna show up. It's gonna pay me. It's gonna give me something. It's gonna get a return. It ain't living rent free. I ain't having any anxiety attacks. I ain't having any depressive days for that. I ain't having any. I'm gonna get something out of it. I'm gonna get something out of it. I refuse to believe, and it's easier said than done, but it's the type of life that we have to live. I refuse to believe that Christ died the death he died for us to settle for mediocrity, for us to settle for a life less than what he died for us to have, for us just to accept, just getting by, just waiting for that. Hell, I could have stayed unsafe for that. And watch my back the rest of it. But to get to where we are, and all of us in here are believers, to get to where we are, let's put God to the test. Because, truth be told, we're going to experience hell anyway while we stay where we're at. So if I'm going to go through some fire, let's get something out of it. If I'm going to have to get backlash, well, doggone it, let me get all of it. They say I want all the smoke. I'm going to get something out of it. Amen? Who had their hand raised? Somebody else? Oh, Minister Downs. I'm sorry. You had it raised by your for you. Yes, ma'am.
I think the other one is we try to preserve ourselves, self-preservation. We'll try to preserve the thoughts of going through or have a big target on your back. And what I've learned, what I'm still learning is, even though we try to play small, but you still step up. That power in you will still step forward, and you'll catch yourself and you'll go back and shrink back. So it's like a going back and forth. You this way, and then you come back. But it takes more energy to pretend like you don't know it, but you do know it. But at the same time, the ones who are looking to you are kind of confused on one minute you this way, the next minute you that way. So it takes more energy to try to self-preserve yourself because you think you're trying to protect yourself. In actuality, God is saying, I want to help you get through this point to that point. But we put our trust in ourselves and not in something in my spirit was saying that you have a job. I put in my notice on November 1st. I didn't have no job. My friends, my colleagues looked at me like, girl, you sure? But I had to go against what they were saying to me. My emotions were leaving me, but in my heart, I had a peace that I had. My boss was like, guys, they called about me, got the references, but you got it. And I'm like, I got it. But after I stepped out on the water, went on vacation, while on vacation, they told me I had it. But the funny thing of it is, what I ran from, God put me right back in there. He put me right back in there, to where I was going to be over 2 people, now I'm over 6. I have 6 people directly that reports to me. The position that I'm in now, I can't run because I'm the lead. So I believe in my heart that when I allow God to condition me to that place where I stop playing small and really stepping up and trusting Him with me and not me trusting Him with me, and allow Him to reveal to me who He is in me, that I can be a help to other people who are just like me, straggling and hiding behind the curtains and don't want to come out because we feel like we have to have it together, we have to speak right, we have to talk right, but we're relying on yourself, and that's what God was showing me. We rely on you to do good for others. But I need you to let them see me through you in your weakness. Because it ain't all about however we speak or how we others speak, but is He speaking through you, through your prayers. We always try to clean ourselves up to make ourselves look real good, but we don't look real good to you.
Good comment. Question? And this would be for a show of hands. When God tells you, Ms. Doris' comment, we keep going to those places that we know. Because we said, I know what He told me, I know what He told me. And we run from it or we stay somewhere else. When God does tell you, is it anything different than what He told you the last time? So the allure of the enemy is to make us think we're waiting on a new word from God. Waiting for it. So we'll run or we'll hide out and we'll say, I'm waiting on God to reveal it. He already told us. He ain't saying nothing different. No matter how many versions of the Bible we try to do, that word is not going to change. Which also means God is not going to say anything new. He may change the direction, but He changed the direction by revealing something that was already there.
Right.
And the only reason we actually go, or we actually listen to it, because we already know what He said the last time. Like, okay, God, that's you. I know what you sound like. So most of the time, we find ourselves, that's our trauma and our pain speaking. That's our trauma and our pain speaking. I feel rejection. I feel loss. I feel loneliness. I feel being alone. I fear failure. All those things. I fear being insignificant or feeling insignificant. All those things sound so loud. And one of the things, again, the allure of the enemy, he can sound just like God.
Yes.
The beautiful thing and why I love the Bible is everything the enemy was telling Jesus, he was quoting scripture.
Yes. Yes, sir.
He came straight. He quoted it was straight out of Psalms. Straight out of Psalms.
Yes, sir.
And if Jesus didn't know God's voice already, then we're gonna get to this and I'm jumping ahead. If he didn't know who he was, as Adam did too, he just didn't listen. If he didn't know who he was already and have some type of confidence in his relationship with God and what he was already connected to in his ministry, he could have easily believed what Satan said. Could have looked it up and found it.
That's right. Yes, sir.
Could have looked it up and found it. He quoted straight from the Bible. But worked on building that relationship enough, was connected to the ministry that God had just spoken over him when he got baptized. And know it, he already told him that I'm already approved. I'm already, this is my ministry.
Yeah.
Had confidence in that, so he was able to come back with, yeah, it does say that, but it also says this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're kind of right, but it also says this. That's our response to ourselves, but it also responds to those who seek to manipulate, coerce, and try to get us to volunteer our power to them, or get us to not use our power at all. Yeah, you might have a little point with that, but the word also says anything that tries to cause division, and division first happens within ourselves. The enemy's after our soul. We gotta remember that. He ain't after your spirit. He don't care. He know you're going to heaven. We gotta worry about that. He ain't trying to make you spit up green stuff. Any of that. He's after your mind. He's after your emotions and your will. If I can get your mind,
Yeah.
and I can get the way you feel about yourself and
Yes, sir.
something,
Yes, sir.
you will do whatever I want you to do. He take his hands off. The enemy made me do this, the enemy made me, man, the enemy messing with you. No, he said back eat popcorn.
Yeah.
He done did that a long time ago.
That's right.
He'd already worked his magic, puppeteered, his hands up, everything, and he just sitting back watching the show by that point. You get your mind and emotion. By the time Adam and Eve ate from that apple, they was already separated. They was already went through it. Jesus said, if you do something in your mind, it's in your, you've already committed the act. She ate from that tree long before she actually ate from that tree.
Yeah.
The decision was already, the division had already
Sir.
taken place.
Sir.
She had already, like people that leave church, they left way before they left.
Yeah.
They was already gone, showing up every week, praising,
Yeah.
shouting, breakdancing. They was gone.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
They was gone. They was already gone. They was already gone. They just had made up in their will or got the will to actually be.
Yeah.
But mentally and emotionally, he already did his work. He already did his work. The vision happens anytime you accept another vision outside of what God has already told you. Even if it's coming from yourself. And if it's coming from yourself, again, the enemy ain't, he got messages too, but they just repeat. Again, faith comes by hearing. They got to work the same principle. Everything is principle if you get to this tonight. They work the same principle. It is repeating. And you find agreement with it, not because God said it, because your traumas and your wounds and your pains are still talking to you that you haven't or refuse to deal with. They find agreement with them. They know what they are. So 9 times out of 10, they put them there. So they got to find agreement just like God. They got to work the same. That's why it behooves us not to, God said, learn the wiles of the enemy. And guess what? The more you know your God, the more you know your enemy. Because he can't do anything. He can't work any principle that's not already there. He is not, and I said the slide, he is not a creator. He does not have all power. He only has the power we give him. He only has the power we give him. Whom the Son sets free is free in what? Indeed. It's free indeed. Meaning we volunteer ourselves for bondage. With the keys in our pocket.
Oh, that's real.
With the keys in our pocket. We get right back in the cage, sit down, kick our shoes off, and put our hands and say, God, help me get out of this cage. With the keys in our pocket. And we do that daily. We do it daily. So, and awesome comments. Quan?
Actually, so you said the enemy is out our mind, will, and emotion. Are those the 3 tricks of the enemy that you mentioned earlier? Remember earlier you said the enemy only has 3 tricks that he works over and over?
No, those are just the things he uses. The 3 tricks are what? Lust of the, somebody said it. Lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, and the pride of life. And the pride of life. And the pride of life. Which, if we are children of God, we already know who we are. So I'm gonna say he can't get us to those things. He try to offer what we already got at the end of the day. And if we traumatize or we're not, and the reason he's able to do it, and he gets us a lot. And the beautiful part about when we realize it is, if we're available to be aware of it and seek healing, like he won't give me again. But it's the awareness part and the dealing part and the process part when Mr. Evans was saying. That's the hard part. It ain't the dealing man, the devil, so it ain't that he's so hard. It's having to do surgery or submit ourselves for surgery. That's the hard part. That's the hard part. That's why Abraham can be called the father of our faith. Because he had to take Isaac up to give himself up. I was 40 years old. I'm about to be 38, and I ain't about to let another grown man lay me on the table and say we about to. He had to give himself up. It's gonna be a reality, daddy or not.
Yes, sir.
We doing what? I know God might have told you, but. But he had to be willing. That's that trust in God. Though.
Yeah.
He had to be willing. And Abraham had to make sure that he knew God's voice enough to hear what he said stop.
Jesus.
Because last thing God told him was to kill him.
That's right.
So if
That's
he
right.
wasn't making sure that he was being aligned with God's voice, he would have killed him and did the same thing the enemy tried. Well, God told him to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
God told me to do it, but we get into these zones when God didn't say stop. That's a relationship. And that's exercising, the best way of exercising our power. God wants to get his desire, but it has to be a must-have. Alan, you had your hand up?
Yes, I believe you had asked the question, how do we give up our power, correct?
Yes, sir.
Isn't it how we give up our power just the fact of someone making us angry, having a discussion, I get mad or get upset, isn't that giving up my power?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Our ability to choose based on the best outcomes of our life.
What now?
Our ability to choose towards the best outcomes of our life. I mean, for my life. That's our power. And we get that ability to choose, especially for us brown people, because when we choose wrong, we give up a lot of freedom. And we give up the power to choose. It's all mind games. Master, you start talking about it's all mind games. Take away your ability to choose, what time to get up, what time to eat, what to wear. Take away, slowly stripping you of your God-given power. And if you slowly strip a human being of the one thing that makes them a human being, slowly but surely, they start to believe they're animal and start behaving themselves.
That's right.
It's all psychology
Yeah.
and it's principles. And again, the men who created them may not be that smart, but we got an enemy who is.
Amen.
And the
Yes,
same
sir.
way God got messages,
Yes,
he
sir.
got them too.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why it behooves us to cause division, especially in the place. And we're going to get, I keep saying we're going to get to it, we're just talking about it. It behooves us to divide the place that's helping us grow towards our righteousness. Because corporate unity, and Pastor said this Sunday, corporate unity gives us individual power in the direction that we're called to. In the direction that we're called to. If not by default, because of our sinful nature, because of our need to survive, because of all those traumas and wounds and things that we're trying to hold tight together, trying to make sure nobody touch, by default, if we're not, that last little statement we made, I give myself to a purpose higher than me, if we don't make that last step, by default, we'll go back and start creating more stories, and we'll start creating more worse states of mind than we did before, if we don't connect ourselves to a higher purpose. If we don't connect ourselves to something that's going into the direction or that's giving, being able to give ourselves, we won't focus on our growth, because growth a little too much like pain.
Wow.
Growth and process will look too much like pain versus opportunity. And we already got stuff of what it feel like. Well, I ain't going through that again. I guess I just stay here. Guess I just stay here in what I'm in, even though it's killing me too. Even though I'm dying slowly, I know this pain. I know this pain. After salvation, I must have that when God gets involved, that's when it looks like faith. And the thing about it, when we're not connected to a higher purpose, or we don't know who we are, we don't connect, or our must-haves, the things that we say we must have, aren't to fulfill our purpose, but to fill our voids. So we'll do our must-haves, the things, the connections, the people, the habits, all those things, not to fill our purpose, but we're doing it to fill our voids. Or what we think filling our voids. Because they're temporary. We ain't building on foundation, we're building on sand. So I'm going to build this little thing up, put energy into it, wait 2-3 years in this, waste 6 years in that, waste 10 years, church hopping in this, just to finally realize I had my ladder
Yes.
on something built on sand.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And the enemy loves for us to have a long fall. Make a public. He loves it. You know why he loves it? Because he knows whether we want to admit it or whether we know it or not, your purpose is already connected to other people. So the more we do this, the more that we already impact. We impact whether we know it or not. You say, I want to make an impact, guess what? You already are. And how you go through your process or the processes we choose not to go through, we still making an impact. We still leaving an imprint. Either way it goes. So why not? Again, it's going into the new year. Why not do it towards what we know is a reward or what God principles promise on the other side? Why not try it? I'm going to tell you now, the worst that can happen is you stay the same. The worst thing that can happen by you choosing to go through God's process, go through those wounds and those traumas and those things you don't want to deal with and get all the help we need, say what we need to say, do what we need to do. The worst thing that can happen, you're going to get worse. The worst thing that can happen is you stay the same. What the hand raised? Milk?
How does First Peter says working out your own soul salvation, with fear and trembling. How does that fit with, with the choice of doing that, but then with it says with fear and trembling?
What's our soul salvation? Take for granted everybody know what it is. What's our soul? When the Bible speaks about salvation, it speaks about salvation when we first get saved from the grips of sin, so we're not going to hell. Then there's a latter salvation where God redeems our bodies, and we don't have to worry about, dying off. But that middle part of salvation, while we're here living, what Mill talking about. What is working out our soul salvation? Anybody can answer. When God said, work out your soul salvation. What is working out your soul salvation? Oh, nobody. What's working out our soul salvation? Okay, we break it down together. Your soul is made up of what?
Your mind, your will, your emotions.
Do accepting the salvation that Jesus died, rose, and is now sitting on the right hand of the Father, does that heal or erase or change anything with the trauma, pain, and memories that's been put on your mind,
No.
your emotions, or the things you've done?
No.
Does it do anything towards that whatsoever?
No.
No. But it does give you a relationship with the Holy Spirit that now you can start to challenge those traumas, those pains. With now through a relationship with God, and you can go to him directly too, by the way. And he also gives you his word, and he speaks to you through the purpose of a church family and a body of believers to help you work out and get you, because the goal of working out your soul salvation is for you to be who you called to be and to live the life that God died for you to live. And that's how we work out our soul salvation. We're trying to recover our mind, our emotions, so that we can change what we do going forward. And that's how we take our power back and control the outcomes of our life going forward. And God promises, if we believe him, that I'll make your ladder better than your former. That no weapon formed against yourself. For all the stuff we go through, I can make you the head and not the tail. I can get you to a place where you the lender, not the bar. All those things that we say going in, if we actually believe it, if we actually trust him to do surgery in those areas, after we actually trust that he's already equipped us with everything we need to be able to handle those choices, with his partnership and by being unified. And I'm going to make sure I get to that scripture about unity and the power of that. Mr. Toby?
Well, being, like I say, after salvation, the middle part, a lot of religion teaches give all the responsibility to Christ. So what happens is we go through life never facing those things, never facing us. And when we come to a place where it challenged us to face us, a lot of people come up with different scenarios or different things in order for them not to face themselves. To be religion will make you think high in the sky, everything is already fixed. You don't have to go through the middle part. And facing yourself is the hardest part of this thing. But like you said, we have the partner of the Holy Spirit. If we really activate it, we really give him hey, I implore you to work in my life. That's the only way we can do that. If we avoid it or we want to suppress things, we keep suppressing all this stuff, we're going to forever be in bondage inside of ourselves.
Amen. The dominion in the earth has been given to us.
Me.
Absolutely. Christ said, all power has been given to me on heaven and earth because of what he did. And he said, now I give it to you. He restored it back to us. It was forfeited. He restored it back to us. Amen. And so Christ's job now is to do what? Intercede. He did his work 20 years ago. He did his work once and for all. Said there would not be another Adam. This is the last Adam. So he did his work. Now he interceded. God released the resources they need for where they're at right now. But it's contingent upon us dealing with ourselves and taking that step forward. All right, God, release the resources they need for where they're at. All right, God, I know what that feel like. I need you to release the resources right now. That's only when we're in partnership with him, God, him, the Holy Spirit, and the Father, to release those resources. But if we don't step, again, we were talking about the beginning of Bible study, we want the resources first. We want the resources first, then I step. God, I need to see that you this. God, I need to see this first. God, let me see 2 stars flipping in the sky at 12:03 at night to know that you're real. We put all that stuff out there. God, let me do this. And God, what I got you out of this in 98? Oh, yeah. Did I show up there? Or how about when, that test result came back negative? Yeah. You were praying and slopping again, How about that? Yeah. How about that one time? He's already showed himself, but we still, again, We gotta trust it and guide it. And the manipulative, coercive, subtleness, the allure of the enemy is to make us think we got people issues.
Yeah.
And so we'll take it out on people, we'll manipulate people, we'll make excuses for why we do what we do, and we'll, oh, it sounds good. Again, the enemy ain't trying to make stuff look glaringly false. He wanted to, again, he tried it with Christ. He would get us, if we're not careful, justifying our BS.
Oh, yeah.
And he'll do it. He will do it. He'll do it. Awesome comment. The more confused and disappointed we are about our life, the more power gets perverted and we seek to control others. And we kind of touched on this already. Manipulation, coercion, strong arming. And we seek to do that because we got real needs that need to be met. Not knowing the only way to meet those needs is to contribute to something higher than ourselves and to be a continual state of humility and growth, knowing it's stuff in me that I'm always need to grow in. It's areas in me, no matter how much I heal one area, God gonna reveal another area that I need healing in. And in knowing that, no, I need to keep my tail stuck in somewhere that's gonna continually challenge me to grow. And I need to intentionally challenge myself to grow as well and contribute to meet those needs. Because if not, we will meet all those other needs unhealthily, and we'll try to meet them at the expense of other people. And so we'll try to meet them at the expense of stripping other people of their power, manipulate that in a manipulating way. So, Ms. Evans?
When you, that last bullet point that you're talking about, the picture that I just saw in my mind is when we are confused and disappointed about who we are, that our life becomes a business transaction. Everything that we do is transactional. It's not relational at that point. It's like we come to church for a transaction. You know, either we need to get inoculated with some type of emotional high, we need to come get some sense of power. You know, we need to get the things and tools that we need to be successful, but we don't want to give anything back.
Wow.
We don't want to build relationships. We don't, you know, we don't want to come together and make the vision move forward, but because we've made it a transaction, I have a need that I need filled because I'm confused and disappointed about my life. So now church becomes a transaction. And like you said, relationships become a transaction. It's not even a relationship anymore, it's just connection. Your trauma, my trauma, your misery, my misery, we're just gonna come together and we're gonna talk about how we don't like this person. We're gonna talk about how it appears to be this way because now I'm confused and disappointed about who I am, and I'm not allowing my power to be used for healing. And my healing comes from the body. God says that we are a body that are fitly joined together, but when we choose to isolate ourselves, when we choose to do life on our own, we're separating ourselves from the source. And God works, we know that God works through people. Not the ultimate healing is from God, but he is going to work through people. And that can, and a lot of times God sent his word to what? To heal our disease. And your word can be in a person. But because we don't want to because we're so confused and disappointed about who we are, we're not allowing ourselves to be submitted to one another so that we can get that word to heal our dis-ease. So our whole life begins to look like a business transaction. What can I get? How can I get it? I want ready-made over processed. You know, so we just become more transactional people than relational people.
Amen. It becomes misery pajama jammy jam. After a while. Why do we? A big party. Some of y'all, everybody here wearing the 90s.
On this point, but ask me how I know, because I used to be that person.
Absolutely.
And I'm not speaking about something that I haven't lived. I used to be that person. But, you know, thank God I began to get connected to a body and repented. Had to go to people who didn't even know I was talking about. I had to go to people and say, hey, I've been talking about you and I was wrong.
Right.
They did not know, but because I have so missed the mark with God, I don't want to have to stand before him anymore to say, this is how much I've missed it. I don't want to have to speak to something else on my plate. So I'm going back to make things right because, one, I want to exercise my power. Cynthia was saying, the Minister Tobert was saying, I want to exercise my power the right way.
Right.
I want to show you how God can make you come out of hiding and confess those things to one another. And so, one, so I need for you to know that God is working through me, and I need for you to forgive me even though you don't know, but words are spirit. So even though you don't know I said it about you, words are spirit, and I'm already setting things in motion with my words. So I have to be very careful about what I say. I have to be very careful. If I am going to say something about you, April, watch your mouth. You know, I have to be very careful about how I exercise my power, because even with my words, even if it's not just action, my words are setting things in motion,
Yeah.
even if you don't hear me say it or not.
Absolutely. And the danger, thank you, Minister Evans. The danger is that is, and again, the law of polarity, if one thing true, the other one true. Water can't go through a pipe without the pipe getting wet. So, as we're setting things or intentionally setting things in motion for others, we perpetuate, inoculate and damaging ourselves first.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Anything we put out towards somebody, guess where it got to come through first. And that goes positive or negative. So again, the allure of the enemy is, hey, I'm speaking against this person, I'm speaking against that, but guess who I'm cursing myself.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm setting myself up. It ain't, is it what goes into a man that defiles him? Or what comes out of him that makes him come? So we saying, God, I want bigger territory, God, I want to see this. Look how you talking.
That's right.
It ain't necessarily how you talking, we always say how we talking to ourselves. No, how you talking about your brother?
That's right.
How you talking about your sister?
Yes, sir.
How you talking about your situation? That's what's keeping you coming. What's your perspective on this? Let's reason together. Let's reason together. And let's come together with this. So it behooves us. We're going back to those needs. Growth and contribution helps us. Minister April did a great discourse on it. It helps us with our significance. Because then we find our value. We find what we're valuable with. That's the healthy significance. I'm great in this area. Versus my trauma's telling me that I have nothing to contribute. I don't want to grow and change what's in me. I don't want to deal with these things. I don't want to go through the pain of growth. So because I don't want to go through the pain of growth, I won't contribute, but I still got those same needs that need to be met. And human nature, we going to meet them in a healthy way or unhealthy way because we need them to live. And when we stop meeting them, we feel like I'm not significant. Suicide rates go up. Diseases go up when we shut down those needs. Because they are human needs that we all have and that we all need to get met. That's why Jesus was telling me, shall get to this next, I'm going to go to this, power the right way, John 20. Why would Jesus ask for the Father to make us one? Why would he spend his last prayer right before he crying blood, right before he going to probably one of the most heinous acts that he already knew. And he was all God too, so he probably could feel something of it already. Before he go into that, he didn't pray, God, help lessen the pain, numb you, any of that. He prayed, God, what you do, because I'm leaving them in a world fight, make them one. Why would he make that the center of his prayer? To make them one. Why would he do that?
He knew they were going to need each other.
And it's something about walking in agreement. It's something about when you and a person are on the same page, even if you have a struggle,
Right.
you're not in that struggle by yourself, and you got the same vision, and you got the same goals. If I'm tired, you can still push me. If you're tired, I can still push you, because we're still going that way.
Absolutely.
And when we're one, where I'm weak, you may be strong.
That's right.
Where I'm strong, you may be weak. And so that makes us be able to.
Be free, like your t-shirt said.
We two or more.
Isn't that what God commands the blessing?
And if
I'm real big on visual
the
things.
spirit here,
Pastor
God
put
put in a
that
line
out
for you,
there.
Jesus and the Holy
It
Spirit.
celebrated vision.
I'll speak a little louder.
I said, I'm real big on visual. I have to see something. And I was doing something and plugging along, and I started letting the little voices talk to me, and I'm like, you don't know what you're doing. Why would anybody want this? What da 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 da. But I sat in here that Sunday when they first put that up there, and I kept looking at that, and I said, unless I push, see how close those two people are? It's like a photo finish wing. But that guy in the red, he giving it a little more on, because he wants it bad enough. So it comes down to how bad do you want something when you know it's what God has told you you're equipped to do, And I'm big on, because a lot of therapy to say this out loud, but I have a major issue with abandonment issues and being a pleaser. So for me to have the confidence in myself that I'm capable of doing it, I don't need to have a cheerleader anymore. I have to believe that God says this is what you're capable of doing. And on those days when I get lazy and don't want to write and don't want to study, I have to do that. Give myself that extra little push. You can do this. He's already given you the gifts to do it. So, for
Proud of
me,
you.
that's what it is.
Proud of you too. And the beautiful thing about that, when things become, when we went back and said, God wants to give the desires of your heart. Desire is a demand. It's a must-have. When our purpose become must-have, just like our need to massage our wounds, our traumas, our fears and all of this, because they're must-haves because we keep doing it. But when our purpose and actually trusting what God says and actually trusting that the relationships will come, and then when something healthy, it will come. When they become must-haves, then the cheerleaders start, the real cheerleaders show up. Because it's still not good for men to be alone. Then who you really supposed to be connected with shows up. And that's, again, the genius of the church. And I'm starting to understand more and more why God kept it a mission, or kept us a mission. He placed a piece of himself, assembled a group of people who everybody got their individual issues, but it's a piece of him that he deposited in all of them to where we're able to constantly do that, to make a body fitly joined together that's continually flowing to each area. My brain is constantly sending signals to my fingers and my feet at the same time. My eyes are constantly bringing in images. It's amazing how we all can get together if we believe it, or if we accept that's what it's supposed to be. If we don't accept it, we're just showing up to put it on the check mark. And just because we're showing up will not stop our traumas, our pain, our insecurities from talking. It will not. It has to be, God, I must get out of this situation.
Yes.
God, I must feel what you said. God, I must experience the life you said. God, I must do what I'm called to do. God, I'm not living the life I'm living and I'm sick of the one I'm in. God, I gotta have it. When it becomes that, you start volunteering for surgery. Because you're sick of the pain. You say you get sick and tired of being sick and tired. And you find yourself volunteering, you may be crying, you may have to do a couple days of hibernation, whatever it takes, but whenever you get to the point, and that's okay. We human beings. Don't let anybody think you gotta be Superman. We are human beings. God is the God of the get up. So you may gotta fall sometime and anything, that's okay. It's okay. As long as you get up. As long as you get up, it's okay. Christ wept, and he was all God and all man. Christ wept so hard, said he wept blood. So that might think we got to be in isolation or be Superman or God, why, this condemnation. God is a God of conviction. And conviction and condemnation can feel real similar. If we start discounting ourselves and start looking at the things that God said he done do behind his back as soon as we did them. And we still punishing ourselves. He's like, why are you doing it? I'm not. I'll throw it in the sea of forgiveness as soon as you've done it. Be convicted. Change your perspective about it. Try not to do it again and move forward. And you can be called somebody after my heart. That's all David did. By law, David should have been killed 100 times over, according to their law. He wasn't up under the same of the grace that we is.
Thank God.
He wasn't up under the grace that we are. David was supposed to be killed 100 times over. But for his willingness to say, you know what, God, I was wrong. I changed my perspective. I'm going to make amends what I need to make amends. I'm going to acknowledge what I need to acknowledge. God, heal my heart. I still want to kill him, but heal my heart, God. Not my way, but yours. When we get to that posture of life, the pain he had to go through when the baby died, and stillborn, he had to experience all of that. His son tried to take the kingdom. He had to experience all. God didn't change it or take it away. He had to experience all of that. His best friend Jonathan getting murdered. He had to experience all of that. But God, not your way, my way. If this makes me who I'm called to be, so be it. Because I'm sick of living the life that I am. I saw a hand raised. Maybe not. Father, make us one. One is the only number that's indivisible. That's where we get that verse in our greatly crafted Constitution, that one nation under God, indivisible. One, and it seems crazy, it can look crazy. One is the only number. Is the only number that's indivisible is one. And I'm gonna tell you how. If you got four, if you got one vision, it's one vision. So whatever number you divide by one, what do you still have? You don't have one.
Oh, the number.
You still hold it. No matter if I divide 5 by 1, 100 by 1, I'm still left whole. But what happened when you add two visions? When you divide 200 by 2, what you got? You ain't got 200 no more, do you? Now you left with less. One is the only number that you can try to divide and still is left whole. That's why God hates disunity and he hates division. Because it leaves you at a deficit. It leaves the body at a deficit. It leaves the individual, we treat each other's needs as holy and other needs as holy. And he hates division because it leaves somebody else at a deficit. And when people are at a deficit, dependent, they're going to, again, we all got the same needs. So we're going to eat, we're going to make sure those needs are met. And most of the time, when we're left at a deficit, we're not caring too much how they met, depending on our individual background and circumstances. That's why he hates division. I say, God, if I can just keep them one, they can be indivisible. There's no limit to where they can get to. If they all can see their collective power, it will help them reach their individual power. It is not a limit to what they can accomplish in my name. That's why Jesus can say stuff. Y'all together, y'all would do greater things than me. He didn't say you. He said y'all would do greater things than me. Say, Father, just keep them one. Keep them one. And then having a singular vision makes us one. We have to attach ourselves to a greater cause and know where it's going. Jesus created the environment. Being on one accord, corporate unity makes us candidates for individual power. And nothing is impossible when there is agreement and unity in a single vision, even if it's for the wrong thing. Everybody in here can name something that they said they must have. They got agreement with it, made agreement, and they made it happen. And nothing was withheld.
That's right. Yes, sir.
Nothing was withheld. And we've all done it. Why can't we do the same thing with our purpose? The thing that's actually going to get us to the life that we thought we would get to before. The allure and the trigger of the enemy. Correct? We can only learn and foster that in an environment that is committed to righteousness. Committed to righteousness. What time are we at? 8:23. We are out of time. God seriously got about causing division. What those who cause division, watch them, point them out, point them out, point them out, identify them, avoid them. Why? Because they run the risk. They run the risk of destroying the whole. Again, if I got 200 and I divide it by just 2, one person get out of line, I'm left with 100 less. I'm left with 100. That quick, just by adding one number, I'm left with half. Not just the organization, which is allowing others to find and reclaim their personal power, but also the individual who can end up like Adam and laying down their power, making them subject to continue, I don't know what I was writing, continue worse things and suffering. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I must have been hungry. How would you want others to serve your vision, to serve your life? Those wounds that we attack from, how about what we actually got help from? So I'm going to end on this because I ain't going to hold this all night. But let's take what we got last Sunday, what we got tonight, and let's actually put it into practice going into next year. Put it into practice immediately. Because you're going to, guess what? You're going to be attacked on it probably about tonight or early tomorrow morning. Early tomorrow morning. Questions, comments, any announcements?
No Bible study next Wednesday.
No Bible study next Wednesday for Thanksgiving week. So I see y'all Sunday.
Write it down now.
Also, if you're not connected on our WeAreCYM page, what's happening, CYM page, get connected because next Thursday we will be volunteering at Virginia Edie's Feed 5,000 that we normally do every year. I think we have sign-ups on the page, or we'll have sign-ups for volunteers. We normally help in the kitchen. It normally starts around 8, but the page will continue to be updated to give further instruction and direction. Yes, ma'am. Amen. Father God, thank you for tonight. Thank you for the people. Thank you for CYM, God. Continue to allow us to heal and experience the life that you died for us to have. Thank you for the rest of this week in advance. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Anybody got a handout they need to give back?